Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Lane. Good morning, John L. Good morning, Jan. Good to see everybody here today. Thanks so much for making it. Yeah, so we're here to do the same thing we do every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. I'm going to pull a card off the top of the deck, ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do this, we are building into our own lives and ultimately changing up our own understanding. So let's have some fun. Let's pull a card and say that today I am adventurous. I am adventurous. I explore the world to know myself. So I am adventurous. I explore the world to know myself. Are you adventurous? You are adventurous. You explore the world to know yourself. I'm going to write that down in the comments, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. That I am adventurous. I explore the world to know myself. So, when I started to explore the world, or when I started to do like world travel type stuff, I started it with this romantic idea of what travel was all about. And I remember that the one of the very first lessons I learned, I was in Fort Lauderdale, and I was about to hop an international flight and head down to Costa Rica for a while, for what would turn out to be about a 7 year adventure in Central America. And I remember that the very first thing that happened was that I got travel sick. I was like day one or day two into the whole journey, and I was down in Fort Lauderdale, and I had like 2 days before I had to hop on a plane, and I really didn't know much about traveling. I'd done it, but I'd never really backpacked before. And so the first thing that happened was that I went to the beach in Fort Lauderdale, and I was pasty white and hadn't thought about sunscreen, and ended up burned like a lobster. Burned like a lobster, covered in sand, and backpacking, which let me tell you is not a pleasant way to be. And I remember just thinking to myself, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to explore the world? Do I really want to start up on this journey? Couldn't I just go back home where the air conditioning is, and there's always something good on TV? And I remember, honest to God, just thinking about it, deciding, okay, well, I'm going to give this like maybe a month, and if I'm not having some fun adventures, if it's just this terrible for the entire time, then I have got to go somewhere else. I've got to do something else. Perhaps adventure is not for me. Perhaps it's more of a more something that is better in my brain than in reality. And the fact is that, of course, as evidenced by the fact that I've continued to have many adventures in life, that I came to the conclusion that my life was better off for having these adventures in it than otherwise, than it was sitting at home watching TV. And I remember that one of the huge revelations for me was, as I traveled, that not only did I get to see pretty places and interesting things, I did get to see pretty places and interesting things. The main thing that I got to experience, though, was a more of a thorough understanding of myself, what I'm good at, and what my limitations are. And so I am adventurous. I explore the world to know myself. And I had to explore the world to get to know myself. I spent about 6 months on top of a mountain in Costa Rica, just getting to know myself. And while that's definitely a kind of an extreme way of doing things, also, at the same time, I've lived a fairly extreme life, and continue to. That was an extreme way of doing things. The fact is that it brought into a very sharp focus exactly what it is that I was looking for out of life. The reason I started traveling was because I didn't like the way that my life was, and so I realized that if I was going to, uh, if I wanted to make a change, if anything was going to change, it was going to have to be me that changed. And let me tell you, after having plenty of adventures and continuing to have adventures, me has changed. The way that I the way that I interface with the world has changed tremendously. And when I was out and about on all these travels, I ran into all different types of people, and every single one of them from different walks of life with different motivations, yet all of whom were exploring the world, all of whom were transient. I ran a hotel down in Costa Rica for a while, and it was very interesting to see just the parade of characters. Some of them were traveling the world and doing it well. Some of them were traveling the world and not doing it particularly well. So some of them were running away from something. Some of them were running towards something. In the end, all of them were exploring. And as I get older and as I look back at that experience, I realize that whether I'm traveling across the world or just across the street, life itself is full of an adventure. There's that famous quote: "Life is either a grand adventure or nothing," and that's exactly how it is. We don't have to travel to another country to have an adventure. We don't have to live on top of a mountain for 6 months to have an adventure. We don't need to explore other hemispheres to have an adventure. We can have an adventure from on the drive to work. We can have an adventure on the walk from our house to our car. We can have an adventure just going out for lunch or walking down the street or getting groceries. Life is an adventure. And there are always things to explore, and the closer that we look at literally anything in our world, the more that we realize that it is more complex than we at first gave it credit for. Have you ever had the experience of being out in nature, and as you're out in nature, just you think you're alone in the woods, and then you just calm down for a second and allow your energy to settle, and then realize that you're not alone, that there's bugs and there's bees and there's birds and there's animals and all these all these little woodland critters are everywhere. I had that experience just the other day. I was out hiking on the nature trail, and I stopped by the waterfall and I sat down and was just basking in the white noise that only waterfalls can produce. That very magical white noise, great for clearing my mind. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of nature right now. I'm out, I'm out here looking at this waterfall. And then as I sat there, I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a fish in the water. Oh wait, that's a dozen fish in the water. Oh wait, that's 100 fish in the water. They were always there. I just had to calm myself down enough to see them. I just had to become present. I feel like that's something that adventure really helps us to do. If there's one thing that travel will really teach a person, it's how to be present, how to just be there in that moment. I remember there was a time when I was in I think it was Panama. Anyways, I was in Panama and I was at a hostel, and just the sky presented me with one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember that I was just staring at it because it was so incredibly beautiful. And then I looked around and I realized that I was not the only person who had noticed this beautiful sunset. All the people around me were staring at it too. Except they weren't staring at the sunset, they were staring at their sunset through their phones, attempting to catch a picture of this beautiful sunset. And and I remember making that conscious choice of, I'm going to stare at this sunset. I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts. I don't need to capture it for posterity. The fact of the matter is that the sunset was just something that absolutely illuminated my soul. And I wanted to be present for that. And so I stayed there and was present for it. I remember that this one girl that I had been chatting with in the public room of the hostel, she didn't have her phone on her, and because that was more important than watching the sunset, she ran inside to go and find her phone and grab her phone. And by the time she had grabbed her phone and come out, the sunset had changed, and it was still pretty. It wasn't nearly as breathtaking as it had been before. And I really got to thinking about that. How when we when we're having an adventure, it's because we're choosing to be present to the adventure. And that picture of the sunset, which nobody who got a picture of that sunset said that their picture did a little bit of justice to that thing. But the folks who weren't able to be present for it didn't get the full experience. And I, because I had traveled enough to realize that the memories are written on my heart and not on celluloid or not on digital photography. I had a totally different perspective. and decided that I was going to be present for that moment. And that kind of self-awareness is something that had come from years of traveling. I made a comment. A friend of mine is starting the process of packing her life into a backpack, and I don't know where she's going to, but she's packing her life into a backpack. And I recounted the story to her. I said when I first started my travels, one of the things that I did was I bought all of that ultra light stuff. I bought all the things that I thought that I would need in order to survive in any part of the world in any given condition. And my backpack weighed a little over 33 pounds, and I thought that that backpack was light because I mean I had all of the ultra light camping gear and all of the ultra light everything. Well, after about 7 years in Central America, I hopped a tourist bus for for the first time in a very long time, and at the time, that backpack that I was carrying had gone from 33 pounds down to about 11 pounds, and at the beginning, I thought it was light. At the end, I knew it was light. And I remember that I hopped on this tourist bus, and all these like fresh faced tourists looked at me and my wife at the time. Both of us were, we had both had backpacks that were less than 15 pounds. And they said, "Where is your stuff?" And the tour bus driver was like, "Where is your stuff?" I said, "Oh, it's right here." And they said, "How long have you been traveling?" I said, "Oh, about 7 years." And I can just tell that all the people on the bus kind of looked at me, looked at my backpack, which I could pick up with one hand and just throw where it needed to go. And they had the backpack and the front pack and the side pack, and they were out for 2 weeks with all of this stuff. And it really struck me that the more that we travel, the more that we explore the world, the more that we become acquainted with ourselves and what we really need, the less baggage that we carry around with us. And that experience for me has always been allegorical. Has always been allegorical for, as Jan just mentioned, the emotional baggage that we carry with us as well. When we get ourselves out of our comfort zone and we have an adventure and we do new things and we have new experiences and we know ourselves better, then we are more equipped emotionally and also equipped, with stuff that we carry with us. But we are more equipped emotionally to only take the exact stuff that we need. And so I am adventurous. I explore the world to know myself. And nowadays, I don't really leave home all that much. I don't go too far. I live in a gated community, and I don't leave. Uh, and I really like that. I really like that I don't have to leave the gates. I like that everything basically comes to me nowadays. And yet, I still have tremendous adventures. I still have all kinds of fun with all kinds of people. And when I do leave, I'm always leaving with a purpose. I'm always leaving to either get errands done or to go have some adventure somewhere, to go somewhere to do something. And so the character of my adventures has changed. No longer am I traipsing about the globe. Nowadays, an adventure for me is hopping in the golf cart and cruising around the community. And the people that I meet and the experiences that I have and the presence that I'm able to have because I know myself is the adventure. And I find that I'm always consistently stimulated. So I used to think that in order for me to be stimulated, I had to travel around the world and I need to go see exotic places and visit people that I'd never seen before, go to new continents, collect all those stamps for my passport. Actually filled up my first passport and needed to get another one that had more pages in it. Nowadays, I realize that adventure itself is something that can be had without leaving my home. That whenever something fascinates me and it causes me to get to know myself a little bit better, that is an adventure. And so I am adventurous, and you are as well. And I find that the folks around me, whether they are globetrotters or not, are adventurous people because each and every one of us is continually exploring the world, reinventing ourselves, deciding who we are, sifting between our preferences, and ultimately getting to know ourselves. So I'm adventurous today, and you are as well. We explore the world to know ourselves. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Good morning again to Jan and John L, Lane and Susan. Good morning let's see. Good morning to Shauna and Dan and Wendy. Good to see you guys here as well. And thank you guys so much for being here on the Wake Up Call. Let's have some adventures today. whether we are going far away, whether we are planning a vacation, or whether our day is going to be something that we think at this point is going to be mundane, the fact is that there is always adventure in our lives, and adventure always awaits us. And it's really just about having the perspective to understand it, having the and having the desire to seek it out. So yeah, so let's have an amazing adventure. Life is indeed a grand adventure or nothing, and so let's make it a grand adventure today. Let's explore the world and know ourselves. All right, my beautiful friends, I will talk to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll come back with another one of these. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining up the wake up call to my to the folks who are watching me on Twitch and on YouTube. Just want to say good morning to you. Leave me a comment. I will be happy to say good morning to you. Until then, thanks so much for being here. I love you, care about you, appreciate you, think that you're amazing, and we'll chat with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.